Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money.
Welcome to Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. Today we're talking about love, divorce, and what happens after the papers are signed. Actress Jurnee Smollett finalized her divorce 4 years ago, and now her ex-husband is back, requesting half of her SAG pension. This is after he reportedly walked away with nearly $1 million in their original settlement. So now we're asking the real question. When does divorce actually end? Is this a case of greed, or is it just how the system works? And more importantly, how can you protect what you've worked so hard to build, especially if you're a high earner, a high value man, a high value woman, entrepreneur, creative? So we're going to get into it today with our panel. We have Joe, who is a licensed therapist and mental wellness coach. We have Aisha, who is a financial expert, and we have Shalaye, who is the CEO of Vital Source Realty. Hello, everybody. We don't do jazz hands anymore, Joe. Oh, I missed the jazz hand, Joe. Before we get started, we're going to get into the video so that everybody is on the same page and knows what we're talking about. And then we're going to come back and I'm going to get your guys' feedback after we watch the video. If we're going to watch a video.
I think we're supposed to do Dear Queens first.
We can't do Dear Queens until we see the video.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Oh, dear. Okay. Thank you for so much. Dear Queens and Kings, my boyfriend makes 6 figures and I'm surviving on $30,000. We don't even live together, but now he wants us to start splitting everything 50-50 whenever we go out or make plans, because he says that's what equal partners do. Meanwhile, he's booking expensive dinners and outings like it's nothing, and I'm silently stressing over my half. I love him, but this setup feels off. Should I keep trying to match his lifestyle, or is he asking too much? Signed, Equal Love, Unequal Money. Oh my gosh. Shalaye, would you, how would you respond to this?
No romance without finance. No, let me just be honest. He don't love you. That's it. That's all. That's all I got to say. He does not love that woman. Moving on. Next.
Alrighty.
You talking to me?
What would Aisha? I said, I guess the question is, what would you do, and what advice would you offer, and what she should do?
Oh, advice.
That is absolutely crazy that a man will actually expect a woman to split. And I just agree. There's no way I will be paying for 50% of my dinner going out with a guy. I wasn't raised that way. You will pay for every single thing I need. Simple. That's just the way I was raised. I'm not doing that.
Can I see the slide again? I'm so confused. Look, boyfriend makes 6 figures. Okay, so he makes 6 figures and I'm surviving on 30K. Okay. We don't even live together. Whoa. But now he wants us to start splitting everything 50-50 whenever we go out or make plans, because he says that's what equal partners do. Okay, I'm ready. Let's come back. Joe, what advice do you have, sir?
I'm gonna trip it off. Shalaye said he don't. Does that woman love herself? I mean, I don't know.
Not
Like,
doing it. Mm-mm.
Yeah.
it's not even about, equal partnership or none of that stuff. Like, you can't do that. Like, you can't afford it. So why are you doing that? That's the thing that's what I'm asking him. It's not about your relationship, the romance, none of that stuff, or how much he cares about you. If that's how he wants to live life, that's how he wants to live life. He wants that type of partnership, then that's his prerogative. But why are you doing that if you cannot keep up? That's the question.
Okay. Noma, I don't know if you're here for the reading or not. If you were, would you like to weigh in? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sitting here thinking I'm glad she said boyfriend, because then she's not attached that you can just leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. There's so much to unpack in here. God dang it. First of all, a man that's making six figures that can't step in and not provide, because that's not your wife, right? But in a dating situation, if you are a man, a gentleman, it is traditional that the man takes the woman out. Now, I'm not opposed to a woman taking a man out at all. If this is your husband, this is your man, you want to treat him, you want to, do a little romance or something like that. But if you are in the dating phase and this man is courting you, then you are not yet equal partners, because you have not signed it that says y'all is equal. That's that. And then second, I understand dating up. I do. I promise you I do. But if you're only at the 30,000 mark, maybe, date somebody at the 50,000, 75. You know what I'm saying? I think that there's levels to this dating thing. And as the levels go up, the expectations go up too. I'm going to leave it at that. If it were me, what would I do? I'd get a better paying job. That's what I would do. I wouldn't be looking to this person to do it. I would just get a better paying job so I could take better care of myself. But that's me. All right, cool. So are we going to the video now?
Hey man, Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband wants half her retirement. Now, back in 2021, Jurnee Smollett got a divorce from her man, Josiah Bill. And since the divorce, he got $1 million settlement, and he gets $7,000 per month, child support. The alimony payments.
Damn, my nigga getting paid.
That nigga want more after all that. So now in 2025, he's seeking 50% of her SAG-AFTRA retirement from 2010 to 2019, the years they was married.
So it seems like it was like an amicable settlement, and then now he's coming back like, wait, I can get more.
What I'm thinking is he's bitter about something, and rightfully so. And he like, you know what? Hold on. He might have found out. Hold on. I was supposed to get half, because it says here that under California community property laws, marital assets are typically divided equally in divorce, which means this could be valid. Meaning he could have said, okay, I got what I got. Hold on. I need half their retirement too. I was supposed to get that. Let me go back and get what was owed to me.
Let me go back and get what was owed to me. What was owed to me? Noma, you are married. When you hear that, what are your thoughts? Do you owe your husband something? Am I on mute or are you on mute? Okay.
I'm on mute. I was on mute. Sorry. The short answer is no. And it's always interesting when we see these Hollywood or these celebrity cases, because this is not how wealthy people functioned. Wealthy people don't have these kinds of problems, because usually when you come from a family that's organized and that's wealthy, they protect their wealth. They have trust funds. They have prenuptial agreements. They have all kinds of measures to protect their wealth. So when you kind of look at it that way, you really shouldn't be having those kinds of problems. I'm going to add too that us normal people can also function like wealthy people just by getting organized. Before you get married, in most African countries, you have negotiations, and you don't have to be rich. You just have negotiations. Your families get together. They talk about, how they're going to build wealth, how they're going to secure the bride in the event of a divorce, her husband dying, or any other mishaps happening in life. And all of those things are structured and put in place. I have never in my life heard an African man say that an African woman owes him anything after she has married him, has birthed children for him, nurtured his children, nurtured his family, and has committed her life to him. And for whatever reason, they end up apart, and then he feels owed. Now, on the opposite end of the spectrum, also, what he owes her is already known going into the marriage because they have negotiations. So again, these are just the kind of problems that can be avoided. But the short answer is no. I'm disgusted by such a man. And then the last thing I'm going to say is I get a lot of pushback when I talk about traditional values and things like that. But I want to say that this is what all that equality and women are the same as men and all that kind of talk gets you. So there you go.
Listen, Jurnee Smollett has been in this game for a very long time, dating back to 1992 is when she first hit the scene. She has 15 films to her right, 26 TV shows, not episodes, but shows that she's been on. Here's one right here from Full House. Actor Jurnee Smollett paid her ex $1 million plus alimony when she left, right? And so he's asking for more. She's been acting for over 20 years. Joe, when you hear Jurnee Smollett's ex wants her pension, what's your first reaction as a man? Or just maybe not as a man, but just what's your first reaction?
I don't have a reaction to that. I'm still processing it. I'm really stuck on some of the stuff Noma said. I really have a question. I want to know, do African women leave relationships and turn around and feel like they're owed? So is that a mutual understanding when African couples split?
As I said, it's usually established before they get married. And this, I'm talking about traditional African families. A lot of people have moved away from it and become modern or what have you. But the reason why people pay dowry, which in the southern part of the continent, they call it lobola, is actually to secure the woman. We don't pretend that men and women are the same. We understand that women have to devote themselves more to the family and to children and to homemaking than the man. Not that they don't have the capacity or the capability to be CEOs and such things, but we all know that when people walk into a filthy house, they don't think, wow, what a filthy man. They think, wow, what a filthy woman. Because no matter where you go or what you do, people put the onus on a woman to be the one who keeps the house and the home. So with that understanding, she has to be secured. Dowry is usually taken and given to her family and it's usually in the form of cattle or cash. And that money is an investment and nobody's supposed to touch it. And it's supposed to grow over the years. So that in the event that she leaves her husband or her husband leaves her, even through death, or he becomes ill, or whatever reason, he becomes incapacitated and cannot take care of his family and her, she is still secured. You see? So there's no reason for her to now start chasing him and saying she wants things. But of course, they do acquire things during the marriage. And again, it's understood that if they acquired those things together, then those things should be split evenly. But that's during the marriage, not what he brought before the marriage. So she can't start saying, because you've been an actor or a football player or whatever else for 20 years before me, now I want your football money. No, that's ridiculous. And it's even more ridiculous when a man is the one demanding that kind of thing.
Okay, thank you. That really gives me clarity. Get everything taken care of on the front end. But my initial reaction, just to be real quick, to what I heard is, what happened here? I have to know more. I have to know and understand more about what happened inside their relationship that causes him to be this bitter. So that's not a normal. I don't believe you married a man that you knew to be this petty, and you spent relationship with him and had kids with him. I don't know if he just turns out petty just like that. I feel like something happened that we don't know about, but I don't know.
Okay, Aisha, you are in finance, I believe. So should retirement accounts be on the table years after divorce? So you've set up your life, you've moved on, you've paid $1 million, you're paying $7,000 a month. should this person be able to come back and now tap into your current financial plan, your current financial situations? Like you've moved on. What is it? It's been 4 years. So mentally, emotionally, financially, you've moved on. And now they come back and they're like, yo, I want some of that too.
Well, I think my first thought is the same. Is wow, that's crazy. Why would you even do that as a man? It's almost like not just petty, but it just shows what kind of character you are, for a man to want to come back. But when it comes to that, I think even I know the law here in California is a little different, the community property. I think it should just only go based on where you were married. It shouldn't go all the way where she started working. How can it's not even possible? But I think women can protect themselves, especially in this society. There are things you can do, to protect yourself, and it's out there. It's just that you have to look for it. In the beginning, we're all rosy glasses, we're all happy, we don't think about these things. But then when it happens, then now we're looking back, say, oh, I should have. So really just preparation. Just like Noma said, in Africa, it's preparation. That's how we were raised. You prepare for all these nuances that you don't think about. That is why arranged marriages work, because they help you see your blind side before somebody like this start doing stuff like this to your family and trying to destroy your family after all your hard work. So yeah, just preparation and being aware of what you can do financially to protect yourself, and the things you can do. And I can help. If anybody has a question about that, reach out to me anytime.
Listen, I always say that you should start your relationship off not thinking about the end, but putting plans in place while you're in love so that you can protect and cover the other person. Because if something should happen to go awry, now you're operating from you forget how you were when you fell in love, when you said yes, and you're operating out of pain and hurt. So if you do these things in the front and you're operating in love, it makes, things a little bit less complicated. Shalaye, when we come back, I'm going to ask you a question. We're going to go to break, and then I have a question for you when we get back. We're going to go to break and we'll be right back.
Woo! It's a good show right here. But I'm biased. If you are just tuning in, you are watching Fly Nubian Money, where we help you master your mindset and maximize your money. My name is Tiara Williams. I'm also known as Miss Black Hollywood, and I'm the proud producer of this show because it is lit. If you want to receive notifications for when we go live Monday through Friday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All you have to do is text the word Queens to 87948. That's Queens to 87948. That's QUEENS to 87948. Also, if you want to grow your money and not blow your money, all you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. There's all kinds of resources, there's courses, there's free giveaways. There's just no reason to be broke in 2025. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoney.com. Obviously, you don't want to be entertained here. You want to know enough to grow. Wait, I need to put that on a shirt. You got to know to grow. Got to know to grow. So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com.
So know and grow with flynubianmoney.com. You can go to flynubianmoney.com for free resources, tools to sign up for the Fly Money Club. You can also check us out here every day at 1:00 p.m. or catch us on Spotify. That being said, Shalaye,
Yes.
you don't make the plans early on in love. We're at the end. You give somebody $1 million. I loved you. We had kids together. It didn't work out. We're going to go our separate ways. Here's $1 million plus I'm going to pay you $7,000 a month. Okay. Mm-hmm. Should that be the end of it? Is this financial abuse or legal entitlement? I did my part.
So I agree also with Joe that is there something missing? Like, what did she do to him or what happened in the relationship? Because, talking about this and getting more information, it's been 4 years and now you're trying to go back. Like, was there money that was hidden? Were there things that should have been in the agreement that weren't in the agreement because he didn't know about? So I would have to say that it really depends on the specifics of their situation. And I feel like we don't know all of the information, but if it is for face value and the settlement is done and that's what you agreed to, that's what it should be. I think it's super important. And I'm not surprised that she doesn't have these things in place, but whenever you have, even if you're not an actress, if you have a business and things should be kept separate. You need to have a business prenuptial agreement too if you're planning on marrying somebody. Like, I'm surprised that she didn't have like things in place so that he could not touch her childhood money. It just doesn't make sense to me. And her being in the position that she is and being the actress that she is and making the money that she has and having that pension, I'm kind of surprised there's not someone who was in her ear like, you need to protect this. But the fact that he's coming back and trying to get things after 4 years, something seems awry with it.
So I think there, and even with that, like the video that we just saw, I think they said from 2019 to a certain date or something about when they were together, right? But I'm also hearing her childhood money. So I don't know which one is right. Is it just from the time that they were together or from the childhood money? But then even with that, I would ask, how do you know which is which? Like, if it's all going into one pool, how do we separate the money that was earned and made from when she was working?
They should be able to track that through SAG. They should be able to track what money was made in what year. So that should be the easy thing. What I don't understand is why wasn't this, if this is what he wants, why wasn't it a part of the agreement before? Did he not know that he could access that or fight for that? Like, and what happened? Like Joe said, why is he this bitter that he would come back after 4 years and say, oh, now I want more? Because I mean, you don't know what
her career is doing good and his is not. This is my assumption. I'm assuming that
put that on
his
there.
career had allegedly.
right. Allegedly.
Put that
the allegedly banner.
Yeah, allegedly. Because that's usually it's very rare. I'm gonna say not that it doesn't happen, that a man is petty. It's not, you know what I'm saying? As women, we are better at getting our monies, but men, well, in today's society, right? You know what? Let's look at some of those Gwen, let's look at some of the comments. In today's society, it is a little bit different. Men are going after successful women's money today. Unfortunately, Jurnee Smollett has joined Mary J. Blige, Britney Spears, Wendy Williams, to name a few women who had to come out of pocket to a gold-digging ex-husband. That's a club no one wants to be a member of. Yes, men can be gold diggers. It's not terminology used just for women. Nope, you're not a real man. Shaking my damn head. Oh, well, I'm glad the law is finally working on both sides. So can this behavior also be placed on women who take half of everything a man has earned during his life? Or is this only applicable to men? Equality is beautiful. Time to squeeze some coins from some boss babes. I need better English. Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband needs his ass beat. Y'all have been divorced since 2019. She pays you $7,000 a month, but why the F do you need half of her earnings? Get a job. BAN. I'm not gonna say it all. Ninja, please. Hyping Jurnee Smollett's ex-husband really confirms that y'all are new bitches. But that day. So that being said, do high-earning women have to choose between love and legacy? Aisha, what do you think? Does it come down to you got to make a decision? You can either have love or you can have somebody try to take your money.
Wow, how sad would that be for any woman to have to feel that way, that you have to choose whether you love someone or your money? That's very sad. And I hope that is not what will be the case for most women, even though women are successful today, they're doing well and they're earning a lot of money, sometimes more than their spouses or their boyfriends. I just hope that is not going to be the case. And hopefully we have people around us that will help us make good decisions. Because sometimes I think in this society, there's a lot of rugged individualism. He's my man, I'm going to do whatever I want. While in my culture, you can decide to marry somebody on your own. There's going to be uncles and aunties and brothers and cousins telling you, this isn't a good person. They'll tell you. So then you go with your eyes wide open. While over here, people decide what they want to do, and then the damage is done and everybody's fighting. There's a lot of hating and insulting just because we do things on our own. And that is not helping us. So why would a woman that is supposed to be a precious woman, that is going to be a life giver to a family, be put in that situation to choose between loving someone or worry about her money that she's earning. To me, that's a very sad situation. But I hope that as a community, that woman will find people that she loves and trusts, that care about her deeply, that will sit down with her and look at what is happening around her, all her blind side, and help her. So that money is not the reason why you marry someone or not marry someone. Instead, because you have love for them, you share the same values, and you want to create the next generation to bring a difference in the world, right? I pray that that will be the reason why, not because of money, because that comes and goes, right? But the love that you share and the values you share will last forever.
So I'm going to ask this question to you, Noma, because you have a different view around the man, the dowry being paid, the man being the provider, the man being the person that takes care of the family, right? In today's society, we have a lot of women, not more, but a lot of women who make more than the man, and sometimes is the main breadwinner, right? She's not the man, she is the breadwinner. Okay. So even like with Wendy Williams' ex-husband, Kevin Hunter, I guess he's demanding divorce be overturned because he's claiming that she hid $48 million from him. And the producer thinks that could be kind of what Josiah is also saying, that Jurnee hid his pension, hid her pension. And so do you think that some men either resent successful women long after the marriage ends, and that's why they come back and ask for more money because they feel like, okay, the relationship didn't go well, you were the breadwinner, you should still pay me? Or do you think that it might be that women are less likely to fight for their money in divorce when it's like it's all said and done, it's over, I just want to pay him and I want him to be gone? You're on mute, my love. You're on mute. I still can't hear you. Sorry.
Sorry, yeah. The Wendy Williams situation, I felt like alternative feeling, I think, from what I've heard about the situation, was a little bit different. He was actively her manager, producer, and very involved in what she was doing. So he was making that money right along with her. I could be wrong, but that's how I understood it. So with that being said, he was well within his rights if he had an active role in her company. If the marriage dissolves and the company's still going, or they're going to dissolve the company, then he has shares in the company, or do you understand what I mean? It's not the same. It's not the same thing. But going back to these other ones, like I remember Sherry Shepherd, her husband was asking for money, and Halle Berry and Mary J. Blige, all those men are losers. They are losers. I know people try to tiptoe around these issues. Those are losers. Your very pride and dignity as a man. It's been years since you left a woman and you're still whining about her money. Oh my goodness. That is a loser. And, I'm sorry, I can't right at this minute remember my sister next to me, her name, but she also said something about African culture that, it's not even so much just African culture. It's a funny thing because it's global. With most traditional families, your family supports your decisions, but they also monitor your decisions, and they also kind of help you think through these things and look at certain things. When you say that you want to get married, they don't just look at the person that you're looking at getting married to. They look at their family, their background, their habits, and all those kinds of things. So you really have to be going out of your way to make a bad decision in order to make a bad decision. Be that as it may, it can still turn out to be a bad decision. But again, it goes back to who are you marrying and why? And then I think, as Joe said, what is the reason why this person is asking for this money and so forth? I can't think of any good reason why 4 years later you'd still be chasing a woman's money and you call yourself a man. Haven't you moved on? Haven't you made moves? Haven't you made money? Where's your dignity? My goodness, no.
Get some therapy, heal.
Yeah.
If there's trauma, like I just can't think of what it would cause a man
money
to go back and be like, I want some of that too.
Yeah.
Yeah, LaNee, and you don't get money just because you feel hurt or because you're bitter and petty. That doesn't earn you money. You're just bitter and petty and hurt. Okay, but that doesn't mean you should get more money. No.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna go to break, and then we're gonna come back. We're gonna watch our second video, and then Shalaye, I'll come to you when we get back after our commercial break, and we'll go to that now, and then we'll be back in a hot second.
I know you're busy, you got things to do, and you can't take us on the go with you every single day. Good news for you, we are now on Spotify. So if you can't watch us, now you can listen to us on Spotify. Search Fly Nubian Money and all the episodes shall appear. All you have to do is like, subscribe, leave a 5-star rating, leave some comments, tell people how you love us so that when other people come along and are looking for a great show to watch, they can find Fly Nubian Money too. One last thing, and just in case you've been sitting under a rock, Fly Nubian Money now has an investment club. We are the Fly Nubian Money Club. It's easy. All you have to do is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com, and I am committed to bringing in top experts from all industries to help you level up. They're teaching us the skills that we need to compete in this market. We often say that nobody is coming to save us, not the government, but guess what? We're coming to save us. I'm coming to save you with the Fly Nubian Money Club. So listen, all you have to do again is go to flynubianmoneyclub.com. We have a 30-day free trial set up just for you, just for those people that are struggling. Even if you ain't struggling, you ain't got to struggle. I'm coming. Okay, let me stop playing. I'll see you soon.
All right, we're gonna go to the video, but before we do it, I want to address this question, and I'm gonna give it to you, Shalaye. Leroy McKenzie Jr. What's up, Leroy? That's my homeboy in the chat. Asked, so you call those men losers, and he's addressing it to Noma, but I'm gonna have you answer the question. So you call these men losers who do this. Does that mean that women that do the same thing are losers as well? I guess what he's asking is, as a woman that goes after a man who is supposed to be the provider and the protector, when she has nurtured the children and been the woman of the home, and she goes to this man and says, hey, you're walking out, you're leaving, or we're separating, and I need you to cover and protect, continue to cover and protect the home. Does that make her a loser to ask for provision and protection and for him to do what he's supposed to do now that the relationship is over?
Absolutely not. And here's the thing that when people make comments like this, that they're not taking into account at all. And like you said, the nurturing, the motherhood, the taking care of the home, the nurturing his dreams and following his vision and everything. Women who marry often sacrifice their financial independence and their career goals and things like that to marry and to become a mother and everything. That is not only taxing financially, it's taxing emotionally, it's taxing physically, it's taxing mentally. And so if a woman, we're not equal, right? There are things that a woman is doing that a man cannot do. A man cannot bring children into the world, right? And a woman is doing that and submitting under that man's vision, supposedly in a marriage. So no, that does not make her a loser. That is the best structure for the family under those circumstances. So I don't quite understand why that's so. I don't understand why we have these conversations and why it's so hard to understand that. And like was said before, wealthy families and families who plan ahead, they're already planning for this. And I've gotten so much insight just from hearing you ladies talk about African culture and things like that. But these are things that should be planned in the beginning. So when people get mad and they decide to split, or you can do it amicably and it's already in place. I don't understand that comment. And I don't understand why it's so hard to understand what a woman has to sacrifice in order to get married and become a mother and motherhood and what she's giving up as an equal human in a relationship like that.
All right, we're going to come back. We're not finished with this dialogue yet. Let's go to the second video, and then we're going to come back and dive deeper into this commentary. Let's go.
Jurnee Smollett. Oh, my goodness. Her and her ex-husband, Josiah Bell, they've been divorced for 4 years. He is asking for half of all Jurnee's retirement money. And this is Jurnee's money that she made when she was a kid. I don't know what makes Josiah think he's entitled to the money she made when she was playing with the Olsen twins. This is her full house money. Jurnee wasn't even thinking about that man. Back then, she couldn't even spell Josiah. It gets nasty in a divorce. You don't go into marriage thinking you're going to get divorced, but if it happens, it can get so nasty. One of my ex-husbands, he wanted in the marital stuff when we were fighting, he wanted my bed. He wanted my bedroom set, even though I bought it before we got married. And I said, look, Ninja, you weren't the only. I did. I said, hey, Ninja, you weren't the only man in this bed, okay? This is the bed Sherry bought with Sherry's money. And I told him and his lawyer, I said, he wasn't the first one in it, he won't be the last in this bed.
Okay, Joe, I have to ask this from the man's perspective as a man, okay? If you married a woman and she had money before you and you guys got together, maybe you made money together, maybe you didn't. You guys get divorced, you go your separate ways. She pays you out $1 million and she continues to pay you $7,000 a month. Would you go back and then say, I want some of your retirement too?
I don't think so, but I do want to address what we were talking about before the break, if that's okay. Because I listened to Noma with respect to African culture, understanding that the men that she has been exposed to were raised in that culture, and the women that she's been exposed to are raised in that culture as well. So a man who does this is a loser. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Noma, but I'm listening to what you're saying. So
I've lived in the U.S. since I was 19 years old.
But you've been exposed to this culture, right? That's
yes.
Right.
Both
okay.
cultures, yeah.
Right. It's not about where you were raised. I'm more about the culture, right? So men who are raised in this culture don't behave this way, and if they do, they are a loser. And if women, was to do the same thing, she would not be considered a loser. I get and understand that. But in a scenario that Dr. LaNee gave, the woman is the breadwinner, correct? Like that's what she saw. Who's to say that this man was not also providing the nurturing and all the other things and the protection? So what we're saying here is why the mental health is declining for Black men, because we're mislabeling their value and saying that the only thing that they can be valuable for is providing. What about the other things that they do in the home? And that's no disrespect to what a woman brings, birthing children and all the other things that Shalaye mentioned. But what is a man's value outside of what he brings into the home financially? That's what we have to start understanding. So in these scenarios, who knows? Who knows what was happening? Who knows? If I love you, and going to your question, directly to your question, LaNee, if I love you and I believe in you and you are doing well and I'm securing myself, I'm probably not going to want any of your money. You know what I mean? Unless I've become dependent upon it through the nature of our relationship. I've become dependent. I'm bringing my value to the home, providing protection, taking care of the kids or whatever, and your job was to pay the money. So that's what we agreed upon. Now, events, I'm gonna give y'all a little psychoeducation. Events change people. So if there's an event that occurred, that might change a person's self-belief and also what they believe exteriorly about the person they're with. So now I hate you. Okay. And I'm not saying that's justified, but now I hate you. So money, we all know the love of money is the root of all evil. So if I feel like I can hurt you through your money, I'm going to try to hurt you. Again, not justified, but let's just focus on the fact, like, what happened? What happened to this man that all of a sudden he wants to hurt this woman in this way? Not justified. I'm not ready to call him a loser until I understand everything that happened. He might just be an actual loser. That's very, very possible. But we don't know what happened or what this woman did or what events took place to make a man decide all of a sudden, I'm not proud of you. I don't want to support you. I don't want to believe in you. I want to hurt you. What happened? That's all I'm going to say.
We don't know what he or she did. Did, but you are onto something because when you talk about, we're not talking about man and woman roles. We are traditionally, the man is the breadwinner. So if we're talking about traditional roles, the man is the breadwinner, the woman is the nurturer. But we are living in a day and age where women are breadwinners and husbands are taking on more of a non-traditional support role. And if I think that goes back to, we have to have some of this stuff worked out early on. If you are going to let me take the lead and be the breadwinner and pursue my career or whatever the case might be, and you're going to take this role, what does that look like and how does this play out down the line? Because when that happens, then it becomes each person is responsible for their role, not necessarily man or woman. You are still the head of the household or the man or however your household does it. But then should something go awry, there are some responsibilities for how this other person is taken care of, whether it's the man or the woman. I think it gets to be weird when we start talking about quality of life, right? Because man or woman, I don't feel one way or the other, man or woman, when somebody gets divorced and they say, well, I should still be kept in the quality of life that I'm accustomed to. So you should still pay me this much money to live the same life that you live, but that person didn't work for it, or they didn't earn it. If you didn't work for it and you didn't earn it, then why is it the person who has worked for its responsibility to keep you accustomed to that lifestyle that you did not work for or earn? And I don't care if that's a woman. Go ahead, Shalaye.
Yeah. So, and Joe brought up something very important that I had a thought about a couple questions ago. And it all boils down to what the two individuals agree are going to be the roles, right? Because it's not necessarily just because the man that you're going to be making the money and bringing home the bacon. And what does it look like when she's bringing home that bacon? But what did you guys both agree on? Did they agree that she's going to be the breadwinner and she's going to take care of him and then he's going to be at home? Because also a man being at home and taking care of the children is also making it possible for her, it's propping her up. It's making it possible for her to continue to do her acting gigs and things like that. So perhaps it was something like that. That's what I said earlier.
And we don't know what he sacrificed to do that.
Right.
You know what I mean? There might be something sacrifice, a great sacrifice in order to play that background role for her so that she's able to go do those things. So we just don't know.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I'm not disregarding any of that. I just feel like, why wasn't it worked out 4 years ago? Like, let's talk at 4 years. I'm going to give you $1 million. I'm going to give you 7,000. We're going to walk our separate ways. To come back 4 years later and say, but I still want more.
Unless he didn't know, unless it was hidden. And again, we don't know, speculating at this point, but unless he didn't know all of what he could get. But again, this is why it's important to work these things out in the beginning. Am I getting some year pension? Like, what does that look like? What's the percentage? Are you paying me alimony? Are we paying child support? What's the custody going to be like? If we happen to split up, it's important to have those going back to, it's important to having those conversations in the beginning.
How would we feel if we found out that he was told, okay, I need you to do all of these things, take care of the kids in the house and all the other little knickknacks while I go make this money. Meanwhile, I want you to put whatever you wanted to do in the background. And then she come home and say, man, I met somebody out here that does things a little different, that I like a little more. I'm going to go over here and be with this person. I know you sacrificed everything, but tough luck, buddy. You know what I mean? Go on about your business. How will we feel about him then? You know what I mean? Like, how will we feel?
Mm-hmm. We're going to go to commercial. And when we come back, I want to address Mark Kelly's question. I'm going to start with you, Noma, which is, what is a man's value in marriage? I think that's an important question that Joe brought up, so we can hit it. We will tackle that question when we come back. We're going to look at some stats. And so we're going to go to commercial. We're going to come back and we're going to keep this conversation going.
Are you a Black business owner looking to expand your reach? Well, has Fly Nubian Money got good news for you? We are building a Black business directory to connect you with customers who need your services. And here is the best part. It is absolutely free. Email us at info@realvirtual.net. Send us your business name. Tell us a little bit about what you do, what services you offer, your website address, and your contact information. That's it. Together, we are going to build and circulate the black dollar. Get listed today and start connecting with people who are probably already looking for you.
Okay. So, I'm going to ask this question before we go to stats. Where's Markelly's question? What did he say? What is a husband's value in a relationship, in a marriage, Noma?
Well, his basic value is the same as hers. They just don't show up and do the same things, you know. I don't like this idea that he has value and then we kind of say she doesn't have it. They both have value. They just don't show up the same way. Whether you believe in God or not, I'm going to say it this way. God made us different. He literally made a man with a loud, booming voice. He's supposed to be threatening. And that tells us that he's a protector. His shoulders are broader. He's usually bigger. He's stronger. You can't argue that. Are there some big burly women that can beat a man down? Absolutely. But those are called exceptions. Okay. There's no doubt in my mind that God made men to protect, right? And the same thing goes provision, whether you call it financial. We're now at an age where we look at provision through money, but provision can be any number of things. I've seen men build houses with their own hands for their wives and do other things and didn't necessarily have a quote unquote high paying salary, but he understood that when his family needs things, he is the one who is going to be resourceful and is going to make it happen for them. That's under provision. Okay. There's other things that he can do and that bring value to him that don't mean that it's tied to his paycheck. The same thing happens to a woman. It does not mean that she does not contribute to the wealth building. It just means that's not her primary responsibility. And I think sometimes because we're, living in this modern world, we kind of blur those lines and people get really confused. But there are women, yes, who will make more money than men. If you're talking about the Black community in America, that is more likely than not. But again, that's not her only value. And when you go on a date and you want to marry somebody or you're thinking about getting married and you're meeting people, you shouldn't be leading with how much money you have, because then you are devaluing yourself and turning yourself into just a paycheck or a number. That's called, we women actually devalue ourselves. We talk about all our, nobody knows that I have, several bachelor's degrees, master's degrees and education, all of that, because I don't lead with that. I don't talk about that, because that's not where I place my value as a woman. It doesn't mean those things aren't valuable, they aren't important, they haven't added to who I am and so forth, but that's not who I am ultimately as a woman, as a wife, as a contributor to the family. That's just not, that's not the highest thing that I offer, and that's not what I lead with. You see the difference?
Yes. I want to ask this question of all the ladies, actually. Aisha, what is a man's value in marriage?
And a man's value is to be the head of the household, right? That is, to me, as a believer, that is how I look at a man. He is the head of the household and he leads the family. And it doesn't have to be monetary.
Dr. Alicia's going to get you for saying that.
It doesn't have to be monetary. It's truly just about the role he plays as the head of the household. That is how I view the value of a man. It could be just because of the way he cares for the family, the children, the protection he provides, right? And the certainty he provides and the stability he provides. People think it's all about money only. No, it's just the presence. His presence alone brings stability and comfort in the home. So that to me is how I see the value of a man. It's not about a dollar sign. That is just a bonus that is added. But of course, as a believer, we also believe that it is the duty of the husband to provide for the family. He provides for them, no matter how small it is, but he brings a provision. He leads in that space with the provision. The wife may have a business and she's doing better than him, but he still brings the provision, the protection, the stability, and the confidence for the family. That is, to me, that is what I see as the value of a man.
All right, Shalaye, I have the same question for you, and then I have a different question for you, Joe. Go ahead.
I agree wholeheartedly with what Aisha just said. I believe that the true value of a man and a husband is to be a provider. And again, it's not necessarily all encompassing the income. It's about providing a space. It's about the confidence and providing a space where a vision can flourish, whether that's his vision or her vision, and providing support, providing safety, and providing that structure of confidence for the family. Because if a woman does not have that in her man or her husband, she's never going to trust him. So the provision piece, it means so many different things, but I feel like a man is supposed to provide a certain structure and confidence and safety in a household. And that means safety financially, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and emotionally, an emotional safety net for the woman so that she can continue to nurture the family. I do want to point out, though, that not taking away from what I just said, but a lot of times we get into these conversations about men and women who's supposed to be the leader, and we miss the point that we're both equal human beings, men and women. So it boils down to your unique gifts that God gave you. In some families, it's going to be that woman who is the leader, the visionary leader of that family, but that man still has an important role to provide, so that they can work together to bring that vision to fruition. And I think that concept is missing. And I feel that because women in our society, in America especially, sometimes make more than men are not taking their rightful place as providers, because they're saying, oh, well, she makes more than me. Now it's a competition thing. That provision of the confidence and the security and the safety and the spiritual, mental, and emotional wellness of that household, I feel like that should start with the man, and then it spills over into everything else.
All right. So here's my question for you, Joe. What value does a woman bring to the marriage? Now, before you answer that, I'm going to throw you a little curveball. I want you to answer it for me two ways. A, traditionally, what is the value that a woman brings to a marriage based on what we just heard, right? The man is the provider, But if the woman is the breadwinner, does what she bring to the relationship, the value, does it change?
I'll answer the second part first. I don't believe that the finances have anything to do with anyone's value inside of a marriage. I don't believe that. I don't disagree with nothing or anything that anyone said about who should be a provider, it doesn't bother me to hear that. But as a woman, if your value to me is only what you can provide financially, or based on what you can provide financially, then we in trouble. And as a man, if you are basing the same thing on me, what I provide financially, like Aisha said, even if it's a little bit, if you go out there and you're trying to do what you can to provide for your family, then whatever that might be or whatever you might be capable of has to be valued, that you go out and even try that. So I don't put any emphasis on that. But when I think about the value of a woman from the standpoint of being a married man, the one of the biggest things I would lean to is, I want to know that I had value. So you provide value to me by helping me understand what my value is. How do I show up in this home? What do you need in order to feel like a woman or live in your femininity, and can I be of service to that? And that's what it is. I mean, I feel like most men grow up with most men grow up with the understanding that, they need you want to be needed. You know what I mean? Like if you're not needed in your home, you're probably going to have mental health issues. If you feel like you're not needed, you're probably going to have mental. So to answer your question, I feel like that's the main value that a woman provides to a man. It's like, I need to know that I'm worth something, that I have value. Can you do that for me when I can't do it for myself? I know walking around, we want people to be like, oh, I'm the alpha male and I do. But sometimes, even gangsters even gangsters break down. So when I feel that way, can you provide that comfort to me to understand that, you know, you are a king, you are, you know, you have value outside of this.
I like that. And I think that parlay, we're going to go to stats right now, but I think that parlays into, we don't know what happened. Because when I hear you talk from that perspective, and we think about how men are emotionally, or lack thereof, or show or don't show, and you take a man's family, for whatever reason, we don't know why, where, when, how, we don't know who did what to who, we don't know. It's not traditionally in a man's nature to come and attack a woman or attack her finances or whatever the case might be. Unless it's just not a good man. Like, I think Mary J. Blige's husband just wasn't a good man going into it. I don't think it was love lost. I think he was not a good man. In this in particular situation, I think that they probably actually had love. Like, I think they actually had a loving relationship and something went awry. But it's what happens afterwards. Let's look at some of the stats that with relationships. Nearly 50% of marriages in the United States ends in FlyNubianMoney.com. In divorce. Okay. Nearly 50% of marriages in the United States end in divorce. Women initiate 70% of divorces in Black households or Black marriages, 80%, according to CDC studies. Black women are least likely to remarry after divorce. According to the U.S. Census, only 22% of divorced women receive full retirement benefits from their ex's pensions. And divorce can reduce a woman's household wealth by 41% compared to 23% for men. In California and other community property states, retirement accounts are considered marital property if contributed to during marriage, even if you keep working after the divorce. So, you know, divorce is not easy. Divorce is taxing emotionally, but also financially. Conversations should be had prior. Prenups are not a bad thing. I think people think that when you're having a conversation about a prenuptial agreement, you're planning for the end, you're planning for it to fail. And I don't think that that's the case. I think you're planning to take care of somebody that you love. If this should not go the way that we hope it can go, if it should not go the way that we believing that it's going to go, I want to make sure that you're protected, right? And so if people looked at prenups from that perspective, instead of, I want to get as much as I can get, or I don't know why we're getting, you know, I think they have immorality clauses. If somebody cheats, they don't get this, or if you have X amount of kids or babies, I think you can put all that stuff in there. I think that that's where it starts to get nitpicky, and you start to be like, we're supposed to love each other. Why are we doing all this? But you're doing it because you love each other. You're doing it to protect you, because when it goes bad, it goes bad. And they could have been amicably divorced for the last 4 years. And then you bring this up and it's like you're picking the scab on a trauma, like you're reopening something that could have been healed, we could have moved forward. And now we're back here again. And so, like we said, we don't know what happened, but when we do our final thoughts and we go around the room, I think the question that I would ask each of you in your final thoughts is, how can we as a community, as a society, as regular everyday people, we're talking about millions of dollars, but regular everyday people are going through this too. Somebody works, somebody didn't work. Somebody has to sue. Somebody has to get child support. Somebody has to get alimony. Somebody has to have their mortgage paid for. So we're talking about it at the $1 million level and $7,000 a month. But somebody's had to pay somebody $100,000 and is paying, $5,000 a month with less money. So what advice would you give someone to protect themselves, to cover themselves around this topic, and or just in relationship in general, Aisha, just in being prepared and loving should something not go the way that you want it to go? We'll start with you, Aisha.
Thank you for that question. First of all, we're people of great value. Women, men, we are. And money should not be what determines our love for each other or how we should treat each other. But with that being said, just preparing properly, right? I think when you hear about what they call the arranged marriages, there is a value to that. When you arrange a marriage doesn't mean you just find someone and somebody say you have to marry this person. No, but there's involvement. There's families involved. uncles, aunties, they really help you see your blind side and advise you properly on what you need to do. But if you don't have that, like Dr. LaNee was saying, maybe a prenup will work best, where it's not about how much I'm bringing in, but rather, I love you so much that if something happens, I want to protect that love so that we can part our ways with respect and dignity, and not fighting and causing this dissension and damage that is unnecessary. So I think that is the way I think people should, all of us should try to work through things that way. If you know someone getting married, help them out, see their blind side, give them advice prior to them going to marriages. And if you don't have that, a prenup will work just fine. And if you know are looking for advice or need advice when it comes to your finances and you're not sure, you know, I'm an expert in insurance, and this is actually some of the tools that can actually shield you and protect you from any kind of loss when you, you know, are going through a divorce. So I hope people don't get divorced. I know sometimes it happens, but if you ever have any questions, reach out to me. I'm in the Black Business School, and also my website is www.aishaverzi.com.
Awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts. Shalaye, what are your final thoughts?
So my final thoughts are definitely, you know, have these conversations early. I feel like you need to have these conversations probably before you fall in love with someone. The first couple of dates, like seeing if your values align around these conversations. And especially if you have a business or you're an entrepreneur, make sure to get a prenuptial agreement and make sure you're separating your business and your personal assets in businesses. Put those businesses in LLCs, put those businesses in trust. If you have real estate, make sure if you have real estate that you've acquired before the marriage, make sure that those properties are protected and they're in a trust if you don't want them to come up as a cause of concern if you're going to move forward and there may be a divorce down the line. So I think that just treating it as and looking at it as more of a business structure, even though that may not be fun or sexy to talk about, but it's very important. And we can see in the society why it's very important. So if you guys have any questions about having that conversation and setting up real estate and trust and things like that, I'd love to help. I can help you buy or sell real estate or have these conversations in any states in the US and Canada. And if you'd like to reach out, you can follow me at Shalaye Camillo on Instagram or at Shalaye.Camillo on YouTube, and look at our website, vitalsourcerealty.com.
Thank you, Shalaye. Nomalinga, what are your final thoughts on this conversation and topic today?
Okay. So one of the things that I was thinking about is, you know, one of the terms that we hear a lot is people talk about privilege. You'll hear about white privilege, or sometimes that somebody comes from a privileged family, and usually we're talking about the fact that they come from a very wealthy or rich or have a lot of money, and that's the privilege that we're talking about. But I often think also that there's this thing called family privilege, you know, where you have had good family structure modeled for you. You know, you came from a two-parent home, both your parents came from two-parent homes, and so forth. So we typically reproduce going forward what we came from. And I would say that if you came from a background where it wasn't necessarily looking like what you want for yourself in the future, it's a good idea to be more mindful of the decisions that you're making and have a support system, whether you find that in your church community or you find it in another made-up community where they value family, they value marriage, generational success, wealth, all of those things, and have advisors. It's interesting that we'll have advisors for business, we'll have advisors when we're trying to make a legal decision, building portfolios, we find a financial advisor, but it seems like we jump into building a family without enough advice. So that's that would be the thing that I would emphasize the most, is that when you're making that life-changing decision, that long-term decision, have advisors, and have advisors who have a history and a background of success in that area. My name is Noma Shalaye Moses. You can find me on Facebook under that name. My handle on Instagram is Noma Moses, and I also have a YouTube channel under my name, Noma Shalaye Moses. That's where you can find me. I also am the founder of padsforourgirls.com. This is a charity that we started in Botswana that provides sanitary pads for underprivileged girls. If you would like to donate to that, you can go to padsforourgirls.com and it would be greatly appreciated.
Thank you so much, Noma. I saved our king for last. Some might say I saved the best for last, but I saved Joe for last. You were super insightful today, and having you on does add a lot of value to hear from a man's point of view and perspective. And sometimes you change my thinking, or you definitely make me think about it and look at it from a different perspective. So I want to just give you your roses today. What are your final thoughts on this topic?
Yeah, and it goes both ways. You know what I mean? I listened to a lot of things today and I took it all in. And what I'm understanding about culture, not just, African culture, but culture, period, culture inside your home is so important. And being able to communicate that in the beginning of a relationship is very important. What kind of man do you want? What kind of man do you want to be? What kind of woman do you want? What kind of woman do you want to be? Knowing and understanding that, and then challenging certain beliefs about the things that you believe about yourself is part of growth. More than likely, when you meet someone, you're not going to be the same person that you were 10 years after that situation, 20 years after that situation. But the core of who you are is who you are. So, just listen to somebody like Noma. If I felt a way about a woman being a breadwinner or a man, feeling like he's owed something, why would I go into a relationship, you know what I mean, knowing and understanding this woman knows exactly what she wants and who she wants. So, those are the kind of conversations that need to be had up front. But if I do want to be a provider, if I do want to be, the man of men and all that other things, then this is a perfect situation for me. And we're not going to have any confusion on the back end about what it is when it's time to exit. So I'm just encouraging everybody, when you're about to engage into a marriage or a real partnership, do the work on the front end, have the conversations, and don't be afraid. Like, don't answer questions like you're afraid to lose somebody. Answer questions like, you want to be honest and safe inside of your relationship. So, I'm encouraging more than prenup. I'm encouraging pre-marital counseling. Have conversations in session with the third party that knows what they're doing and can get to the root of who you are and help each other understand each other's perspectives and where they come from, and find out, maybe you might find out something about yourself, which always happens in couples therapy, that people find out something about themselves that they didn't know, and challenging the beliefs that they have, that maybe I shouldn't be thinking or believing like this. So realuconsulting.com, y'all. Tap in, and even if you only do one session, I encourage you to do one session with your partner, and to gain understanding and perspective. I can take one argument that you all are having and help you understand more about each other through that one argument than y'all knew prior to whatever y'all was doing or talking about. So, and then join me on Tuesday nights. Next Tuesday, me and Felice are going to be having a conversation centered around some of the stuff we were talking about here today. Knowing and understand a nuanced conversation about what women and men are looking for or want inside, what they understand about each other. I need to understand, what do you understand about the value of a man? What have you grown up knowing and understanding about the value of a man the entire time you've grown up? And we're going to have those conversations, me and Felice. So join us next Tuesday night, y'all. And that's all I got to say. I love y'all. Thank you all.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I'm going to close really quickly, really simply, really easy today. And that is, based on this conversation, it's never too soon to have the tough talks, right? We basically all talked about it. A lot of this stuff is communicated in the front. Noma Lenga talked about how the families come together and help you work through it. We talked about advice. We talked about do what's right for your household, do what's right for your relationship. All of that stems from having these conversations early, because when you don't have these conversations early, what happens is you start to fall for this person. You start to get emotionally attached. And when emotions start to take effect, logic, for whatever reason, goes out the door. And so if you have these conversations early, what is this person's values, who makes money, whatever the case might be, and you're getting on the same page before you fall, you can logically deal with them. What happens is when you start falling, you start saying, well, that's okay. I'll deal with it later. It won't be an issue. It won't be a problem. Oh, we're going to be together forever. And then when it doesn't work out, you have these unresolved issues, insecurities, concepts, ideas, things that you've been pushing down that come back up when things don't work. And now you're two people who once loved each other and supported each other and had each other's back. Now you're doing this and you're not operating from a spirit of love. So have the hard conversations early, communicate, talk, try to do our best to operate with love and in love with everybody that we come into contact with, right? Man, woman, brother, sister, child, cousin, niece, nephew, stranger on the street. I'm Dr. LaNee This. I am a monetization strategist and a brand your brilliance coach. I help Black businesses and entrepreneurs to build businesses that brand their brilliance so that they can make money. Today has been a great conversation, great dialogue. It was a powerful conversation. So whether you're single, married, divorced, or somewhere in between, today reminded us that your legacy matters. And this isn't just about pensions or payouts. It's about protecting your peace, your paper, and your power. So remember, marriage is a beautiful commitment, but it's also a legal contract. Plan with your heart, but protect yourself with your head. Thank you to our incredible panel, Noma, Joe, Shalaye, and Aisha. And thank you for watching. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place, same mindset. Until then, keep mastering your money and owning your worth. Be blessed, stay Black, and be one. We'll see you tomorrow.